she's going to have me speak to her audience directly at some point. So this is fun.
Very exciting. I love being interviewed. Yeah,
So
this
do
is
I.
not an interview. This is a
No,
fun conversation, huh, Barry?
absolutely. That's why we're here.
Yes. Hello, this is the newsstreamingnetwork.com, WGSN-DB Going Solo Network, radio, TV, and podcast #1 internet singles talk network. And this is Let's Talk Dating with Christine and Barry. Hi, Barry.
Hi, Christine.
This is going to be really an interesting subject, I think. What is a surrogate boy or girlfriend? I had a client bring it up. So it's where we thought, oh, we'll try to do this title, because what I found was on my side in the conversation, and I've brought it up to a couple other people, is some people are doing it to practice and some people are doing it so they don't have to practice. So I thought that was really interesting. Yeah, that they could pretend it was more than it was. They could pretend they were having more of a relationship than was really available on either side, actually, it turned out.
So do you want to explain what a surrogate relationship or a surrogate partner means for those who don't know what it is? Because I want to make sure I get it myself too.
So certainly what explained to me was this one particular one has 3 different men that she talks to, and she has very different conversations with them. She's not actually really dating any of them, but they fulfill different needs for her, and it's kept her kind of content to not reach out and find a real person in person. You know, it's been like a comfort. And it also feels really safe because they're over there and not here, and not necessarily on a daily basis. So it feels kind of substitute. And for her, until it really, she said it, I didn't, to bring it out the first time, it's felt good enough. And I think she's now decided it really isn't good enough.
Yeah.
But it was good enough for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So is it? So in the context of this conversation, you're talking about people who, I guess, look for emotional relationship versus physical relationship. Is that accurate?
Yes, that's part of it for sure, because it's not available. Even though one or the other might want it, it turns out both of them don't. Also, if you don't see a person, you know, outside of having sex, if you don't see them on a daily basis and go through moods with them and see, how do you travel together? You know, can you go to Costco together? What if somebody's late? You know, it's that kind of, not day to day, but more regular. It's one of the challenges that long distance relationships have. I have a couple clients that are in long distance relationships, and because they make a point of talking every day, they've gone through a number of the bumps. They've gone through a number of the, I'm not in a good mood today. Be okay enough with it. Sometimes you just really get up on you wrong, and the world or something hits you wrong with the other person. And if you're going to end up in a relationship with somebody, it's really good to find out how you do that maneuvering. I mean, I've mentioned many times, my brother and sister-in-law will be married 50 years in January. My friend I ride with was married 60 years this year. And they had to figure out how to get along on a daily basis. And somebody that's over there, it's kind of fake and false, where these people that have long distance relationships, because, and they see each other, but not in person every day.
Right.
But they really do work on how much in person they can do with Zoom and FaceTime to see how connected they can stay in a real relationship, even though they're thousands of miles apart, where this is not that at all. And so practicing getting to know somebody and having a conversation with them and getting to know them, isn't that the whole point of dating? And to do that for a really long time, with it not really going any more than that, but you haven't really said, well, I'm going to date and you're going to date and we can have conversations about that and we'll be friends in that way. That's not happening. It's kind of like half. It feels like their feet are in 2 different places.
So in a way, what I would guess I'd take a surrogate relationship is, since it's an incomplete relationship in a way. And because when you first said it, part of me was going, well, hang on a second. I mean, emotionally rich conversations with female friends of mine. We're not in relationships. They're not girlfriends of mine. They're just female friends of mine that I talk to, sort of thing, and vice versa. So I'm wondering how the term, because I was thinking about surrogate, because we have the whole thing about surrogate, birth and stuff. So that's why I was wondering what the context was, as pure as curiosity for myself, because it's not something I've dealt with clients, except that I have, but not that label.
Yeah.
Is recognizing where it's a relationship where it's almost like, when you have friends with benefits, is another term that's often used to cover the portion of relationship you have and the portion of relationship you don't. And so the idea of a surrogate boyfriend, girlfriend in this conversation is really about, can you have, and I guess the question I'll ask the audience, can you have a relationship with somebody that's only 2/3 of it, so to speak? Because if you imagine a relationship basically is physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual, that's the terminology I use in languaging as well. Is it just physical? Do you have the emotional component? Do you have the mental component? Do you have the spiritual component? Are you, what is your idea of relationship? Is it all 4 levels? Is it only 2 of them? What does that mean to you? So I guess in a way we can ask the audience how that fits for them as well.
And that's such a good point. And then also when you put the label, because people really do, I'd say they always have chapters, what do we, when we meet the first time, and what's the chapter when we've been seeing each other a while, and then what's the chapter when we say we're going to be boyfriend, girlfriend? What does that mean? I have people all the time, please define it for me, what you're going to now say to this person that you're dating. What does it mean to you? And then ask them, because they could have a very different definition. Even in the regular dictionary, there's lots of definitions under every word. So if you looked under boyfriend or girlfriend in the Webster dictionary, I'm sure you would find more than one definition. So to figure out, what does that mean to you? And are they all of the things that you want that definition to mean for you? And are you all the things that it means to them? And if in fact your friends with benefits feels like that to you, at least you've had that open conversation. Where when, you talk about birth, I thought about that too, that somebody is growing a baby inside of them that's going to be yours. That's the point of surrogacy. And usually it's one or both of the parent to be actual egg and sperm. Sometimes it's only one of them. Right. Sometimes it's just the sperm. But you're now going to make a commitment with this person, and this is the goal, and we're moving towards a goal. And I think the surrogate part of it is that you need to keep track of, we have the same goal in the beginning. Now, do we have the same goal 2 months later, and 6 months later, and 2 years later? I think that's part of the conversation that we're always talking about that people need to have.
Yeah. And that's the thing as well, because using the context or the structure of a surrogate birth, is a surrogate relationship meaning that you're having your partner be with somebody else for a period of time? Because the other question comes up, and this is another piece we could add to the conversation, this is such an unusual one, is if, for example, one partner goes away for a long time, or maybe they're in hospital for a long period of time for recuperation, do they give permission to their partners to date somebody else in the meantime? That counts as a surrogate relationship, because in a way it does sound that way, if it is only a temporary detour away from the actual relationship you already have. So let's put that one on the table too, just to mix it up.
I think so too, because what I thought about this is that there might be lots of people who don't realize this is what they're doing. And, you and I just talk about whatever you're doing, just be conscious of it. Just be okay about it, or at least okay enough. Keep reevaluating. Is this working for me? Do I feel good about this? Is the other person satisfying me? Am I at what they're wanting and needing? Because, it is a very hard, very scary conversation to have with yourself. And then, oh my gosh, with the other person. Because what if you're not on the same page, or they change their mind and they want more, they want less than you do? And so hard to call yourself out. I certainly had to do that a number of times in my life. And then you can say, yeah, I don't want to think about it, or I'm not going to change my mind. At least you're doing it consciously. Because I think we end up, people can get depressed, not necessarily the medical diagnosis, but because they're not being true. They're not having this kind of conversation with themselves, specifically in our dating realm, with who they're with and why. And what are they hoping to get? And can they actually get it? I mean, you could have a conversation about not now, but maybe later. It's certainly the conversation I had with my late husband for a number of months. You know, liking you more, not where you are, liking you even more, still not where you are, but I'm moving and I'm getting. So it was such an ongoing conversation it was a challenge. And we both were so willing to do it because we wanted to be true to ourselves. I'd made such an agreement to myself that I was just going to keep being true to me. And we did it with the most grace and honor to the, I honor both, but I see where you are and where you aren't. Okay, I wish it was different. And I wish you'd slow down. I wish you'd speed up. And we kept at it. And what I say always is when you have those come to Jesus conversations with somebody while you're getting to know each other and moving into a more committed relationship, you now have this amazing foundation to continue having it in a relationship, because so many people don't talk like this that are married or in, long-term committed relationships. So I know this is not an easy subject. It really isn't, especially if you're in the middle of doing it and you're not thought about it this way. And if you do want a relationship with them or eventually with somebody, this is important. Soul searching. Who are you really? And who are they really? And can you work it out? Because I really believe that, and it's happened so much lately. I've watched people, we bring somebody into our life. So you heal as much as you can, not in a relationship, because you've got family stuff and old relationship stuff. But then I certainly learned relationship stuff will come up and when you're in a relationship, because it's like, yay, I can get healed now and I have a healing partner. And who am I? You think, oh, it's all them or the relationship screwed up.
Oh, yeah.
And it could be, generally, often not. It's a thing that's come up that said, please let me heal. And this has been a thing where they've just been kind of mellowly going along. And then they call me like, oh, we don't understand. And I go, well, look at this old thing. And are you both willing to work on your stuff together? Because this is a together thing now. And can you support? And what's really been fascinating is often they're different, thank God, that they have different relationship stuff. It's still a relationship thing, but it's extra hard when they both have the same relationship. They're both fear of abandonment. It's really hard.
Right. The thing, and this is the thing too, I mean, as I mentioned earlier about being on the 4 different levels of physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. I know there are plenty of relationships out there. To be honest, look at my parents and see that they weren't in all 4 of those. There are only 3 of them. So if you're only doing relationship on 1, 2, or 3 of the levels, is that really a full relationship or is it still partial? Because in a way, what we're talking about with surrogacy in this conversation is the partial components of relationship that you're actually expressing or not expressing. And it's interesting because I know what's coming to mind is about this thing when we talk about adultery and cheating, is that if you have an emotional relationship with somebody outside the one you're in, that can be looked upon as cheating. But then again, you're not with them physically, so is it really cheating? So there's the qualification about what a relationship comes down to, what makes a relationship count. I mean, it's bringing a lot of questions for me now because it's like, what is a complete relationship? Is it one where you have to match on all the different levels, or can you make do with some of the levels and get yourself satisfied on the other level with somebody else outside the relationship? And then is that cheating or is just that normal? Is that okay? So it's bringing a lot of ideas to the table of what there is nothing that necessarily is right about this or wrong about this, but it's a lot of questions about this.
It sure brought up a lot of questions in my mind too, Barry. I knew this would be such a fun conversation with you. Yeah, when you think about using the 4 mental, emotional, physical, spiritual, I don't expect ever to have somebody in my life that supplies everything about all those things that I can't for somebody else. I know I just can't. So what things do you need outside, other conversations, intellectual conversations or activities that one of the others just like never. I mean, I'm not going to ever go running anywhere at any time unless a tiger's chasing me. It's just, I'm happy to walk. Running, it's never been my thing. But if you want to go run and you have people you go run with, yay, I'll make you breakfast after you get out of your shower. I'm happy to do that. And I'll hear all about everything you did. So that kind of thing. And so the thing that I always say to couples is the part where you're going to get yourself in trouble is if you're going to have a conversation or do something with somebody else that you can't tell your partner. That is the line.
Right.
You can't have an emotional conversation unless it's a paid therapist or coach, but with a business colleague or, you know, somebody you meet at a meetup, if you cannot have that conversation with your partner, you cannot have it with them. You need to get counseling with your partner so that you can have that conversation or end the relationship, because that kind of intimacy has to happen with the person that you've made a commitment with. If you've actually said out loud, I want to just be with you, I want you to just be with me, you know, physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually. I want you to have the biggest commitment to me. And I'm happy for you to have, you know, go to class and, you know, join meetups and do stuff with people. And I need you to bring the best of you back always to me. And I will bring my best back to you that I have available that day. And it's been interesting when people hear that line, because yeah, I mean, people say, oh gosh, I had an emotional affair. I wasn't physically with them at all, but I was sharing things that were, I was unhappy about my relationship, and also things I felt like I couldn't share emotionally in my relationship.
Mm-hmm.
That's hard on everybody. It's so hard on everybody. And so if you see that when you're getting to know somebody or as you're getting a relationship with somebody, stopping and saying, can we work this out? Maybe not. You know, we have great sex and we love each other a lot, but geez, you know, we can't get this thing from each other. Are we going to have a conversation of polyamory and we're going to do that with somebody else with both people's okay? Because then even polyamorous people, they have a conversation about it.
Mm-hmm.
They have them to Thanksgiving. My friends have them to Thanksgiving dinner, for God's sake. Everybody and their people have people, and they were all at Thanksgiving. But I had some, but I was like, really? And how does that all that go? And everybody was, because everybody had talked about it. They'd had so many conversations before they even started doing this, and then they've had conversations every time since and gotten through all the bumps. And I'm like, wow, that's really fascinating. So you and I are not saying, Bunky, whatever works you, what floats your boat, if it keeps the two of you together and happy in a way that works, have at it. Just talk about it. Be clear about what it is you still need and want. And the other person's, you know, I can't do that. Great. Come back. But you have to talk about it. You can't sneak. Sneak is bad. It's bad for you. Most people feel, some people don't feel icky, but most people do. And then it brings ick to your relationship. You don't want ick in your relationship. That's truly the definition of toxic, don't you think? One of the definitions.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, I'm looking back over episodes and conversation with us about what a relationship means, and
Yeah.
it is a big piece of the puzzle to know where you match with the other person. And somebody said earlier about the physical piece, for example, it's about being in that relationship, because physically includes sex and other things too. But it also means that the things you don't do together, and that's okay. I mean, I remember I was checking dating profiles of women who surf a lot. I don't surf. It's the same thing as you with running. It's like there are things that don't have to be one for one, like you do every single thing with that person, because that's not healthy either. It becomes almost toxic. It's been toxicity. So honoring each other's differences and respecting each other's differences while having a relationship on all the different levels is really what I'm talking about here. And yes, I mean, even in polyamorous relationships, maybe one or two of the other partners are surrogates in a way, because they fill in a certain gap or certain space that you haven't necessarily got working with your partner currently. And as I said before about where the person is traveling or doing something away where you want to sort of fill in the gap for them temporarily, it's kind of like a like a house sitter. That's an interesting thing. That's a new title, a relationship sitter.
Well, that could be a whole new term.
Yeah, it came out. But the idea about somebody substituting temporarily in a way, which is kind of a surrogate idea. But the thing about it, that underneath all of that for me comes down to what agreements do you have? What is the framework of the relationship you've agreed to, that certain things you do are okay and certain things violate that, whether it's through cheating, because again, cheating is one of those things where, what is cheating? Is it if you have an emotional relationship with somebody else, or a physical relationship with somebody else, or all of the above? So there's pieces of this conversation we haven't touched into that, and it's interesting because surrogate doesn't necessarily apply to all of it, but it's certainly a good starting point to have this conversation on. So yeah, this is fun.
So when we come back from our break, we're going to have even more fun with this conversation. We'll be right back.
Indeed we are. See you soon.
Hi, we're back. This is Let's Talk Dating with Christine and Barry. And today we're talking about what is a surrogate boy or girlfriend. This has
And
been
a
a
lot more.
very interesting, what?
It's been a lot more than that too.
A lot more. Because it really has a lot of layers and a lot of depth to it. And what I've known from the few people I know who are in very lively, seem successful to me, polyamorous relationships, they just say it's made their marriages married. They're really married people.
Mhm.
Better. I'm like, great. I wouldn't, so far as I've ever lived my life, I don't see that as for me. And listening to them has been so fun because they're so both equally
Mhm.
happy. It's not the whole life at all. I mean, everybody wants to ask about it because we're all like, oh my God, tell me. I really want to hear. And so she did a whole my friend Lisa did a whole podcast about it one day because we all kept asking stuff. And the way, the richness, that's really the word she kept using a lot, that it's added to them individually, period. And then their relationship, their marriage as well, the two whole people. And then the third thing, that's the relationship.
Mhm.
In her world, everything feels up leveled. And it's not been smooth. Oh my gosh, it's not been smooth. And
Mhm.
they've continued because they keep going, is this still working? Yep. Is it still working? Because there can't be a no. That's the other thing. If one or you have this conversation with somebody, even if you're just, having these texts or or phone calls with somebody and you want more and you need to ask and they say no. If there's a no, the no wins. Sad for the yes person. It's really sad. But if it's no, it's no. It might be maybe it's okay. But if it's no, then you say, well, can I be okay with less? Because that's the other piece. But what you're getting is satisfying a piece of you that you might have to go look for someplace else or in a whole or person. And the other thing I was thinking about during the break too is what might be lacking in us that we're looking for somebody. I mean, we don't want, as you said, we don't want somebody that's exactly like us. I certainly want core values and
Yeah.
being adored and that somebody loves me and all that for me. But oh my gosh, you want to bring different things to the relationship. And if it's something that just goes against your grain, so you're feeling this part, but it would never be this, that can't be a boyfriend or a girlfriend. I don't understand how that could be. But people are, what I've heard is they're using this word because it feels like a relationship to them. And there's these big pieces missing. And I go, really? That's not my definition of relationship. Let's go back on your definition of relationship. Because a friendship, sure. Good friend, sure. But relationship feels so much more connected on those 4 levels of mental, emotional, physical, spiritual. I can't imagine not having all of those in different amounts in something I would call a relationship or a boyfriend for me.
Well, the word that comes up a lot is settling. Because that's the thing I think that comes up. Some people do settle for less because maybe they don't think they deserve it or they can get it or they're allowed to have it. So they'll settle for something less in a relationship. And so I know the title is misleading away because it's talking about surrogacy. It's like the surrogate relationship. It's almost like having an incomplete relationship. So we're not having, as I said, we're talking about the 4 levels. Like if you can only get 3 of them or 2 of them, is that enough? Well, for most people, if they really ask that honestly, the answer would be no, it's not enough. But some people, they think in their own reality, because they don't think they can have what they want, they'll settle for less. And then they spend their time resenting the partner for not giving what they didn't ask for in the first place, which is a whole other conversation. I mean, we could do like 4 different shows from this one topic alone.
So are you scared to get more involved with somebody? Are you scared to allow them on all your 4 levels? Are you scared to show your 4 levels? Are you scared to show that you might not be good enough at all their 4 levels? I think that's another reason that people would do it this way, because this part feels really good and I don't want to lose this part. And I don't know that we could do the other part. So let's not talk about it.
Right.
And what I found is eventually, when people start getting more healed and do this more consciously, they start going, yeah, I'm not quite so satisfied. What am I going to do about that? That's the part where I tell people I cannot live not consciously. It's who I am since a kid. And it's not, I don't recommend it to everybody because it's a lot of work. And when you become conscious about something you're doing, you often either get to celebrate or go, yeah, no, I really do. And that's why they call us. I really do think I need to do something differently so that I get different results. And it really can be, as you said, settling and unsatisfying. If you really look at what would really satisfy me, I mean, I'm going to have carrots every day. Well, there's so many other additional things you could have along with your carrots. If you like carrots, but you'd also like, a starch and some sort of a protein. And if you're not getting a balanced diet from your relationship, you're going to feel depleted and not as energized and not as connected to yourself. And I don't feel as connected to the other person either.
No, it's it again, it's what we settle for and what we're not put up with. I've said oftentimes, someone said, when you're dating, you're not dating, but it's like, no, I'd actually enjoy myself being single than half-heartedly in a relationship. And the thing is, some people will settle for less than they really deserve or desire. You think that's all they can have. And frankly, to really honor and own your own value oftentimes means you step away from a relationship and you're actually spending time being complete and whole as a single person and doing the work on yourself. Yes, you may miss out on the physicality and certain things as well, but you can still have, in some ways, at another level, you can still have emotional connection and mental connection with friends that doesn't have you feel like you're cheating because you're not in a relationship to cheat on. So there's ways of doing it that's maybe a healthier way. And frankly, fulfills the needs you have so you can still maintain being single and honoring your own space and basically working on your own boundaries for another piece of the puzzle. So yes, there are ways of doing it that are healthy, but it's almost like, are your eyes open when you're looking at a relationship and looking at what you're doing? And are you making choices that are really supporting you?
And it's such a good point that when you look at where are your tanks, how full are each of those items, your mental, emotional, physical, spiritual, and friendships, and feeling like you're making a difference in the world and feeling like you're having fun too. And how full are all those things in your life? Because a relationship generally cannot fill up all those things, even if it's wonderful.
True.
And so to fill them up for yourself first, which makes you a more interesting person and you'll attract more interesting people, and that you're not going to be dependent on them for everything because you do have these outside interests that you now bring back or include them so that you don't feel so needy. And the other thing is one of the things that John Gray talked a lot about is when you have some empty of those tanks, you are really dependent on, oh my gosh, here's somebody that'll fill it up. I just want to claw on them and I want to drain them and because I don't want to look at these empty things. And so part of spending time as a single person doing things with people and joining activities, you'll start filling those up and you'll start feeling more full. And when somebody shows up, you don't need, you want.
Yeah.
You want the companionship, you want the interesting, you want to spend time with them because it feels good, but it doesn't feel like, oh my gosh, I have this empty tank and I need them to fill it up. And then who are you going to attract? Just somebody else that has another empty tank too.
This, as I said, so many different spokes sticking out of this one topic. Yeah. Our choices that we make are so I mean, they're mostly driven by internal programming, internal wiring. And really, when we work with our clients, it's really about expanding that vision to see a different viewpoint and see a different reality so they can feel more whole, more complete, and ideally better partners. But the temptation sometimes just to dance with somebody who's only going to be a little bit part of the experience is sometimes fun to have, because it just fills that yearning or that desire that maybe sitting aside that hasn't been fulfilled in so long. So, yeah, this whole dance of relationship is it's a lot more to the mix. But again, fulfilled whole relationship is what we talk about. I mean, 200 shows, we have a lot of topics around how to have a fulfilling whole relationship. So this idea of the surrogate being the incomplete or the partial relationship, how that doesn't measure up, is something people don't necessarily face. And yes, some people do have the choice of filling the gaps or filling the pieces with one person here and then one person there, and they don't actually have a full-time relationship. But as I said earlier, it's like if you want to be fully single and owning your own space, maybe you can get that fulfillment without breaking any rules or agreements with somebody that can fill your needs on the emotional, mental level.
Mm-hmm.
If you're having sex, because there's something about physicality for me that means that crosses the line in this relationship, which again, that comes back to how interesting my own perception about what counts as a relationship for somebody emotionally or mentally, but does it do the same things it does physically? So I'm not sure I have all the answers, I guess, what I come down to on this one.
I don't think any of us do. I think we're all a work in progress. And I think this is one of those subjects that when you start digging and are really honest, you'll have lots more questions than answers. And then how fun, to talk to us or start talking to other people. Are you feeling this? Is this happening for you? Because I think it's something that we don't acknowledge. We're not even aware of. And we'd feel kind of alone. And when you bring it out and you talk about it, I think people are going to go, oh my gosh, there's somebody actually talking about this. I have felt this way and I wasn't really sure. Did anybody else? Am I like so weird? And because loneliness is truly an epidemic, there are so many articles about it right now that I think people are feeling even more isolated in lots of things. And truly this, how am I going to get my needs met in all these variety of ways as a single person? And then how do I even find out if there's somebody that can fulfill a lot of the relationship needs that I need, and how can I fulfill theirs? And so this is how you start that conversation. Gosh, this is what I've been working on in my life, and these are the things that make me happy. What things make you happy? Oh, we both have happy things. And then what kinds of things are you looking for a partner to participate or bring to? I mean, having that kind of conversation, which men go, oh my God, I've never had that kind of conversation before. And most of them are very interested in having it because they really want to talk about it. They want to get clear about what they really need and want in their life and what they want from a partner, and to be brave enough to ask the other person that question too. And then not to be mad at them or upset with them that it's different. That's hard too. Does she feel like them?
Oh yes, this is another piece of the puzzle, which really is that challenge of what, because again, meeting somebody on one of the levels doesn't guarantee a match on all the other levels, and so it is, I would say, frustrating, but it's also not necessarily aligned when you do find yourself meeting on two of the levels and not the other ones, and how you can navigate that, because there is that. I know there's the emotional bonding piece, and so that I'm never very worried myself, where I meet somebody and it can definitely go the other way, where I meet somebody who I'm very physically attracted to, but there's no emotional jazz there. So I'm like, okay, this is not going to work. So what is it you choose? What do you really value yourself in? What is your highest preference of what you want to have? And yes, with the loneliness question, and maybe we need to show up at that at some point. We'll talk about this at a deeper level. But when you are experiencing loneliness, you may not necessarily want to have a relationship to assuage the loneliness. You may want to have just some connection with somebody you can talk to, or go walk in the hill, go hiking with, or go shopping with, or go volunteer with. It's like there's things you can do where you can match up physically just to feel whole for that time without committing to a full-time relationship. And for some people dealing with loneliness, doing things that get you into interacting with other people is group stuff as well. But even just one other person who will listen to you, or you can spend time with, just enjoying the space, can be enough to fill up your heart and feel whole again, without needing to be in a fully committed relationship. So there's another level of playing, in a sense, that gets you out of that lonely space.
Yeah. Lonely and desperate is really hard on singles for sure.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And when you're creating your list of what you have to have and can't have in a relationship, when you meet somebody that fills this piece, write it down. What did you like? Write it on your, I want that. I want more things. And I want to make sure I get that too. Because what people will do is they'll say, well, it didn't work out, so throw all that away. No, you attracted really good things. And, be friends with them and then say, I want those. And then I want these too. So then keep looking for people who have more of the things. But take the good things that people have. But it's such a dance right now. Really listening to this a lot with people. They have great things, but not this really important thing. Okay. Can you stay friends or not? Maybe not. But please add that all to your list. What is it you still need? Make sure it's so clearly on your list so that you'll be able to ask people questions about, are they that? Are they looking for that? Are they looking for somebody that's that? Because you're looking for somebody that's that.
Right. So that list building is a good thing as well. I guess in some ways what this whole conversation leads to is really, what do you really want? And yes, qualifying when you meet somebody and you have a certain fulfillment at one level with them, part of that surrogacy level, you can say, okay, I'll add that to my list, but this person's not going to fulfill all the other ones, so I can move on. And so maybe look at surrogate dating as like test driving people to see if they fit what you want, so you get your list really complete before you find the one you want to be with, and you don't make do or settle, but you just go, oh, that was good, I'll take that one from there and put around here and make it my list and build up your criteria of what you want to have in a relationship.
Absolutely. And be conscious of how long you're staying and how much you're depending and how many things you think you're getting that you really aren't. Because that's how this conversation started, was really like these things. There's these things that are missing, that I'm spending a lot of time and energy on this person because they have all these things and they really don't have these things. So monitoring your time and your energy, not stop. I'm not saying stop, but 80% of your energy on somebody that doesn't have really big things, that's not a really good use of your time and energy for sure. I would think, if you really consciously think about it, is this really worth it? Yeah. But oh my gosh, can I really get what I want? Yeah, eventually. Takes a while, healing yourself, doing the test drives, bouncing back and forth, the time alone, time with people, time alone, time with people, trying new activities. That's the big thing I keep suggesting. Just go try new things that you think would be fun and see who's there. What kind of new, I mean, I had the most amazing conversations at the two things I did on Thanksgiving Day. The morning one was with people I'd never met before. I know. It was fun. It was so fun. These people just talked about the stuff in their lives that was fascinating to me, and there was got deep, and oh my gosh, I was like, this was as satisfying as the food. And so because I've made a point of saying it in my head and out loud, I want more of those. I need more of those. I get them a lot with my clients and with you. And I want them when I'm outside my house. I do it all in my four walls with all of you. I want to do it outside too. And I have to tell you, they're showing up, Barry. It's really been fun.
Yeah. Oh, and that's the other thing too, is definitely getting out and doing things. That's what I love doing as well. It's not a placeholder, but it's something that just fills my battery and a chance to do something too. So I volunteer on my weekends with the food projects. There's such a joy of camaraderie amongst the volunteers that we just become friends, and we may not see each other outside that space, but it just fills up that joy need, so to speak, and it's really worth doing. And the experience, and one thing I'll also drop in there, because you mentioned about things we can do. Also, if you're doing the work back in a relationship, that's what both Christy and I are here for. So if you want more direct, more focused, more immediate support, always make sure you reach out to one of us too, because we can help you with that.
That's really our pleasure. And, you hear that we're on our own journey too. We've gotten pretty far on our journeys, and we're happy to help you get farther on your journey, because what I'm hoping is there's going to be people who are going to say, I never thought about it that way. I mean, we have that goal a lot, you and I.
Oh, yeah.
Never looked at it that way. And is what I'm doing now that I'm consciously thinking about it working for me? If it is, great. Lots of times this situation, it's not the most satisfying. It's not fulfilling. It's not enough. And you didn't really notice that it wasn't enough. And now you go, the problem is now you're going to go, I want more. I want more because it's not enough. And how do I do that? And that's why you and I are here, because we will help you sort out how to get more for you, and find the person that wants to give that, has that available, and that you get to give back to them, because the whole cyclical thing is how we feel our best, that we're giving and taking, and both people are getting filled up. I mean, that's when the magic happens for sure.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
And more people will say they want that. So this is the work that you do to get there, right? This is one of the steps that you and I teach people to do.
Yes, we do. That's why we love doing it.
Yeah, we do. We're so lucky. I know. I tell people I never feel like I'm working. I don't feel like I'm working at all. I look every day and go, I'm so glad. I'm so lucky. It's just the best job. Call it its job, but it's the best job in the whole world. Can't imagine doing anything else. Dr. Laura's 77 and still on the radio. That will be me. I'll be still doing this.
Yep.
So if you'd like to get a hold of us to see, are you settling? Are you feeling unsatisfied? Maybe you don't even know. Talk to us and we'll see. Maybe you're fine. But if you think you might be not fine, we'd be so happy to talk to you about how to get more feeling better about yourself and your relationships and your life in general. So the way to get a hold of me is through my website, which is www.theperfectcatch.com. And you can scroll down to the middle. It says what's holding you back from love questionnaire. And you can click on that and you can fill out just 10 brief questions about where you are and where you think you'd like to be. And then you get a chance to schedule a conversation with me for free at your convenience. You can also join my mailing list, which will give you updates. You'll get the podcast every week and then other things that are going on in my life. Also, if you go to the bottom of the home screen of my website, you will see all my social media icons of Facebook and LinkedIn and Twitter and Instagram and Pinterest and YouTube.
Nicely done.
I thank you. I've been practicing. And you could also send me a personal email at Christine@theperfectcatch.com. And Barry, tell people how they can get a hold of you.
Thank you. Similarly, I have a few things you can definitely reach me through. So my website's my main one, which is barryselby.com. And on the home screen of my website, there are 3 options. One at the top of the screen is basically signing up for a discovery session with me. So you can click that button. And there's a form you fill out similar to Christine that basically you fill out, and we then have a conversation, see where you are and where you want to go, and if I can help you with that. As Christine said, same thing. You may be fine. Then again, you may need help. And we'll find out in the conversation. At the bottom of the screen is an option to join my email list. So you just jump in right there if you want to do so. So you get replays of the show and everything else I do. In the middle of the screen is the quiz that I created a while ago. I'm actually working on a second quiz, which I'll tell you about another time. But the quiz I have is a relationship readiness assessment. Because if you don't know where you are and where you're going, start with the quiz, because it will give you some guidance and ask you some questions that may provoke some introspection for you. Actually, it will provoke introspection for you. It's why I designed it. But a quiz basically is called the Relationship Readiness Assessment. And it's basically, you can click on the quiz there, or you can go to barryselby.com/quiz if you want to go directly. And that will give you the chance to reflect on what you're going through. And it'll send me an email with what you've got. So I'll actually reach out to you and see if you want to get any help with that. So just another way of reaching me. Besides that, you can find on my website is my book. I also have my best-selling, I have an online course there, a few other things as well. So definitely peruse my site. It's all up and running, which is good. A quick mention, by the way, just something that came up yesterday in a conversation. My coaching is usually a 3-month or 6-month commitment. But for the month of December, I'm offering a single session deep dive if you want to test drive my work. And by so doing, you'll then see if you want to do work with me for 3 months or 6 months, because frankly, some people don't invest up front with a bigger commitment. And so if you do a single session, they'll be applied towards the 3-month or 6-month commitment too. So if you're interested in doing that, send me an email at barry@barryselby.com. Or if you want to reach out to me anyway, reach out at barry@barryselby.com. So it's me, my address. And on social media, I have my name on pretty much everything, well, most things. So you find me as Barry Selby on YouTube, on Facebook, LinkedIn, Pinterest, X/Twitter, and on Blue Sky, because I'm on Blue Sky now because it's the newest thing that showed up. And if you're looking for me on Instagram or on Threads, it's the real Barry Selby. But otherwise, you can find me all over the place. So reach out for either of us, get support, and get out of the surrogacy and into a real relationship.
Yes. And then we're always here live every week on Thursday at 1 o'clock Pacific and 4 o'clock Eastern and all the times in between. And then you can watch us on replays on Apple TV and Roku. We're up to millions of views on Roku. It's very exciting.
It's very exciting.
And then you can take us with you, right, Barry?
Absolutely. So you can listen to us in audio format too, if you have to be out and about, since you can't really watch video when you're walking or driving. But you can listen to us on podcast platforms. So if you have Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon, or any other podcast platforms you listen to, you can listen to our podcast and you can binge listen to all of them if you wish to do so. Wherever you go, if you're out and about in the world, if you're shopping, biking, hiking, anything, you can listen to us and get guidance right there in your palm of your hand.
And we love whether you're watching us or listening to us to subscribe and like and share it with your friends who are maybe having some of the challenges in their dating and relationship lives as well.
Indeed. Yes.
Yeah. So we'll see you next week.
See you next time. Take care of yourselves.
Bye for now.